Show for February 7th, 2018. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Brandon.
Oh my God, Brandon.
Oh, it's been so long. It's been so long.
So I want to go ahead and apologize to all of our, our one faithful listener that we've been gone for. How long has it been?
August 2016.
Good Jesus, God.
I think, and I put out there on our Facebook, which everyone should be checking out. It's facebook.com/SquarePet that phase 2, which is what this is, was going to be coming out sometime after May 1st, 2017. So we're about 8 months late.
Well, we had to get our stuff together, man. Well, it takes a while for perfection.
It does. You cannot rush perfection. as Shigeru Miyamoto, and I'm paraphrasing here, once said, a delayed podcast will be good. A rushed podcast is forever bad.
Yes. Forever.
All right. You can't argue with that.
No, you cannot. Especially not him. So, all right. So this is kind of where we are right now. So we decided to pick this show back up because, number one, we missed you guys and we missed doing this. And it's crazy fun. But we've also decided to kind of broaden our horizon. So this is going to be on YouTube. It's also going to be on a couple other services. And this is where you're going to come in to start us off because we're going to put this on, like I said, YouTube, SoundCloud, and a site called Spreaker, which I'd never heard of before until recently. So we're going to put about 5 episodes up on at least SoundCloud and Spreaker. And we need you guys to let us know where you get your podcasts from the most. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to put the 5 episodes up on both services and kind of see what our reaction's like. It's always going to be on YouTube. And then once we decide between those two, we're going to buy a pro license. And that will actually get us onto iTunes again and Google Play. So let us know in either the comments below this video or on Spreaker, on SoundCloud, by email, via skywriting, whatever it takes, however it takes, to let us know that because that'll help us out tremendously.
Yeah, and probably the easiest way is definitely going to be posting it onto our Facebook.
Yes. Yeah,
that is what we're going to be able to check the most often to give us some very quick feedback. The
next thing that I had was that we do have a Patreon page. We want to go ahead and put that out there as a little bit of a shameless promotion, but we would love to be able to do this like a lot. This is kind of one of those things where when we're not doing it for a certain amount of time, it starts to eat away at us, and we want to not have these kinds of lapses anymore. And donating just $1, just $1 on Patreon a month would help us out tremendously. We got some incentives on there for our backers as well, like calling out your name right here on the show, or what was the one, Brandon, for them to choose a movie for?
Right. All right. So let me go ahead and break it down. So our Patreon, it's patreon.com/SquarePegShow. Thankfully that wasn't taken. And we currently have 4 reward tiers. And that may expand depending on how this goes. So our first is just $1 a month. It's called the Helping Hands. And you're going to have our eternal gratitude. And your name will be added to our donator scroll.
Which will be on the video.
Which will be on the video release. The $3 a month is called Shout It Out Loud, where we will say your name on this show your first month that you were at that level.
With our angelic voices.
Exactly. The $5 level, it's called Pre-Orders, the Good Kind, where you will get access to all of our releases 2 days ahead of the general audience. So if you want to kind of get a heads up on what we're talking about, that's where you want to be. And our current highest tier is $10 a month, and that's called the Suggesters, where everyone that's at that tier every month, you will be able to suggest a movie title for a special once-a-month review that we do. You could give us something amazing like The Fifth Element, or you could give us something absolutely horrible like Jupiter Ascending.
Oh my God, dude. It has been like a years now, and you're still on about this movie.
I'm still bitter, man. I like dogs. It's horrible. Horrible movie. Never going to let it go. No, always going to be bitter.
Can't blame you. So, yeah, so that's kind of what we're shooting for, guys. Like I said, we would love to do this on a more constant basis. But we need your help. So if you can help us out, that would be fantastic. If not, even just liking our video or subscribing or sharing it out would help us out too. So any of those things, please do. And before I grovel too much more, I think we're just going to go ahead and move on to some actual movies.
Yes, movies. We have missed so much.
We've missed a lot. So we were starting to look through the news and decided that instead of going forward too much, we need to take a quick step back. We need to take a look at all the stuff that we've missed, which has been a lot. I know for the most part we talk about Marvel on this show, and that's probably exactly what we're gonna do again tonight. So I'm trying to remember where we left out. I think the next thing that was coming out at that point was Doctor Strange.
You're probably right.
I think it was Doctor Strange. So you saw this, yes?
Oh, yeah, many times.
So Doctor Strange is a shooting star. So tell me about this movie. Tell me what you liked, what you hated, what was good, what was bad.
Well, what I loved was almost everything. I mean, Tilda Swinton was amazing. Benedict Cumberbatch played a great character. Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mordo worked really well. Mads Mikkelsen as the villain, who I can honestly never remember his name. That was the only problem. He was kind of a weak villain.
He was pretty weak, and I was just like, where's the real danger here? And I think the movie even pointed out its own flaw, because Doctor Strange goes up and he has his awesome scene with whatever the hell that thing's name was,
Dormammu.
And then he comes back down and is like, hey man, I just gave you exactly what you wanted and you're not gonna like it. And I'm like, so if they weren't even there, that's exactly what would have had happened to all of those people who were following Dormammu. So
except it also would have happened to everyone else on Earth.
Yeah, but I mean, like, where's his motivation to actually do that? He tried to explain it through the movie, but I was just like, I'm not buying it, dude.
Yeah, I just don't think that it was. He didn't think it out very well.
No,
it was not a well thought out plan.
Not very well at all. But we did get the Eye of Agamotto, I think it was called, which was the time gem. I think we're only missing one.
Yeah, I can't remember which one. All the colors are kind of flip flopped around, and I don't. Is it the soul gem? Is it the space gem? Is it the time gem? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either, but I think we are only missing one. So between then and now, what else came out?
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yes, Volume 2. Yes.
Which
and Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok and SpiderMan Homecoming.
Yes.
So let's go in, release order. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Great movie, not as good as the first.
Not even close. And I feel like the humor was pushed like almost past the limit. Like it was a bit too much.
Right.
And
my main issue with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is every moment had to be undercut with a joke.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Here's a serious thing. Let it sit for a second. Joke. It was just that way the entire way through.
That was Kurt Russell, right?
Yes. Kurt Russell played Ego, the living planet,
who was his father, who banged his mom, and apparently, spoiler alert, gave her cancer.
Cancer. Yes.
Yeah, so this whole movie's rolling along, and there's just one line that turned the whole thing around. He was all like, "Hey, bro, gave your mom cancer. What you gonna do?" What are you doing?
It brought everything to a screeching halt, because at that point, Ego is tapping in to the semi-ego that's within Star-Lord, and he's all there. He is ready for it. He is accepting it. And then Kurt Russell says, "It killed me to put that tumor in her brain." Bam! He blinks his eyes and just starts shooting the hell out of him.
Yeah, and it's just like, dude, come on. That like, how are you gonna build a movie? How are you gonna build the climax of the movie around that? I don't really.
That's the thing, is you cut out one line of that movie and the entire movie changes.
Yeah.
They had to do something it honestly could have. They could have worked that out in so many different ways. Mantis could have been the one to reveal it, because she, can kind of dive into Ego's mind and, help him relax. So, stuff probably slipped out. So it could have been revealed that way. And I think it could have been handled a lot better. Great movie overall. And, it was just another chapter in the Phase 3 storyline.
Hey, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Aw.
That was another part that felt like they were trying to get me to buy into this turning point where suddenly Yondu is really the father figure that Jason never really had. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. I do not. Yeah. I'm not buying it.
I know. I mean, he's a great character. Really sad to see him go, but at the same time, it's like, come on.
Yeah. But
he may have been your father, but I was your daddy.
God. The only other real issue that I had, I think, was God dang it, the big dude. God, I'm so terrible with this all of a sudden.
Talk about Drax.
Yeah, Drax. Thank you. So, like, his humor in the first movie was dry, and like he didn't really even get it himself. But you know what I mean? It's like unintentionally hilarious.
Yes.
Whereas this, again, it goes back to how much humor was just like force choked into the movie, where like he wasn't that anymore, and he's overly goofy, and he lost all the charm, I felt like, from the first movie.
No, I completely agree. I'm hoping that they can kind of salvage that when Infinity War comes around.
Yeah, which we've had some pretty good trailers for, and I'm actually really excited for this one. So the one that comes after this was SpiderMan Homecoming.
Oh yeah, Spidey
And,
back at home, baby.
Back at home, and it's kind of a bastardization because Sony still has their claws in and Marvel has their claws in. But you know what? I don't even care at this point because thus far, this is the best Spider-Man movie that we've had.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this was
I think
the best Spider-Man movie, period.
It just eked above Spider-Man 2, the original Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock, Alfred Molina. Fantastic. But yeah, this one, dude, with Michael Keaton as the bad guy.
Ooh, chilling.
Seriously. And like all right, the movie goes on and, Peter's doing his thing and it's great. And then he's like, I'm giving all this up. I'm not doing this crap anymore. I'm just going to be a regular teenager and I'm going to take this girl out to the dance or whatever. And he opens the door and there's Michael Keaton. And I was like, dude, did not even see that coming at all.
There were audible gasps in the theater whenever I saw that. Michael Keaton, he just played a fantastic villain. I will say probably the most fleshed out villain in the MCU.
I mean, suddenly here we are with this guy's family, and he's kind of living this double life, and his wife still thinks that he's running around doing the construction cleanup, which is another awesome tie to the Marvel Prime.
Mm-hmm.
To where, superheroes cause all this shit. Who's going to clean it up? Well, he's a contract worker, and that's what they do. They go out and clean up this bullshit, and they end up finding alien technology and hijinks ensue, whatever. But yeah, it was fucking fantastic. So, and then he drives the kids to the dance, and then he's like, I'm going to have the dad talk with Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And so she gets out, and I mean, this whole scene, the tension in that car was just palpable. It was awesome the way they wrote this in. It was gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely. Again, one of the most fleshed out villains, one of the most intense moments, like, because it's not, oh my God, his life is in the balance. This is, he will destroy everything he has ever loved if Spider-Man lets his secret out.
I'll kill you. I'll kill your whole family. And it was just like, we good? Yeah, we're good. All right, man, get in there and have a good time. Whatever.
But then even after that, whenever he's in prison and Scorpion is saying, so I heard you know who this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, if I knew, do you think I'd tell you? I'd want to kill him myself.
So yeah, there's actually a really good question there. Was he actually kind of defending Peter, or was he just like biding his time to get out to take him out himself?
That's a good question. I know, maybe we'll just have to wait and see.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and probably err on the side that he was defending him, because the chances that we're going to see Michael Keaton in another Spider-Man movie is going to be slim.
Probably slim. I think it may also have been kind of a grudging respect because he did save his life at the end and was trying to protect his daughter. So, I think you can kind of take it either way.
But I mean, that was actually delightfully ambiguous. So I'm completely okay with that. That was pretty awesome.
All right, so we followed that up with Thor Ragnarok.
Yes. So, okay.
Ooh,
I had some issues with this film.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were some issues that I was able to kind of come to terms with, because all right, so the trailers came out, and the trailers was the first one especially was by far the best Marvel trailer I think that we've had so far. Except for maybe Guardians of the Galaxy. I was really excited on that one with Hooked on a Feeling. Fantastic. This one it was what, Led Zeppelin? And,
yeah.
And, it was like, I'm pumped up to see a Thor movie, and that's weird to me, right? So, yeah. So, okay, the whole thing about the Thor movie is that they they dumped a lot of humor into it, like a lot.
They did dump a lot of humor into it, and that was an issue with for some people. I kind of gave it a pass because Thor's a moron.
Yeah.
And Thor is just like a complete moron. So I was like, you know what? That's probably what he would actually say.
Well, I think
especially when he's like, he turned into a snake and he's like, oh, you know, I love snakes. And then he turned in and stabbed me. It gives you a laugh even now.
No, it does. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that the humor was bad. It was just that there's so much of it. But my issue was that coming off of 2 other movies where there wasn't nearly that kind of humor, and then 2 other group movies that, again, wasn't nearly that much humor in it. It was just suddenly a lot. But you know what? This is the way I looked at it. We're talking about the 3rd movie of a series.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to make a 3rd movie of a series and you're going to make it successful, you're going to have to change something. You're going to have to do something different, or you're going to end up with Iron Man 3.
Right. Especially after kind of, you know, I mean, you can't really say lukewarm whenever it comes to a Marvel movie, but okay, lukewarm for a Marvel movie, Thor: The Dark World.
Yes. And I totally agree with the lukewarmness because, but you know.
The only thing that really gave us was the Aether as another Infinity Gem.
Right. And that's really all we got. And I mean, that's kind of saying a lot, unfortunately, when you have, you know, a few really heavy hitters in this movie. It's just a sequel. I mean, the second Captain America movie was phenomenal, but you know, that one just kind of fell flat a bit. And, you know, they wanted to amp this one up and make it really high in laughs and really high in action. And they did that. And, you know, that's why I'm okay with it, because again, they had to take that stride and make something kind of new for what Thor was. But here's my problem. The Hulk. Now, you know, I'm a big Hulk fan. I'm a huge Hulk fan. And I even on one of these shows, I went back and I was just like geeking out about how awesome the Hulk was portrayed in the second Avengers movie. But this just feels like they just stuck a big rubbery one right up into their butt. And I can't stand it. I cannot stand what they've done with this character. It makes me crazy.
You know, I would have to go back and watch it to really, really get where you're coming from. But I thought he did pretty well, especially whenever he finally reverts back to Banner, since we find out that he's been stuck as the Hulk for years at this point. You know, after he got launched after the Sokovia incident, and he was just trapped in space and fell through a wormhole and landed on the Arena planet. So they kind of took, you know, Planet Hulk and shoved that in there.
Right.
I honestly wish that they had shown more of the Arena. Yeah. But I get that they can't really stick on that too long because, you know, they had 2 hours and 15 minutes to, you know, get them the hell out of there and deal with Hela. Speaking of Hela, another great villain, played by Cate Blanchett, who even just her first appearance, as soon as Odin is gone, she just appears and is ready to kick their ass.
Another thing that the movie had really going for it was, I mean, okay, again, I know I'm kind of flipping back and forth here, but while there was a bit too much humor, I felt the humor that was there was actually good. It was funny. Like when Matt Damon shows up and, you know, spoiler alert again, I guess, but when Matt Damon shows up and they're like acting out this play, and oh my God, I laughed really hard. And then the rock guy, what was his name? I can't remember.
Korg.
Yeah, Korg. Korg was freaking hilarious. Like, their comic writers for this were amazing.
Piss off, Ghost. Yeah, he's freaking gone.
It's like, oh God. So again, while there was a bit too much humor, I felt like the humor that was there was actually good. I could just have done without the talking Hulk and being just as goofy as he was. So that just kind of made me a bit crazy. But other than that, what we ended up with toward the end of the movie was the complete evacuation and essentially destruction of Asgard, that's a big step for a third movie in a series.
That is a big step. It was definitely foreshadowed fairly early on. I think probably within I don't know, basically right after they said that Hela gets her power from Asgard. I kind of knew where the plot was going. So, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of suspense for me going into that because but I did like, no, Hulk, don't smash. Big guy, don't smash. And I like, so some of the writing could have used a little bit of work. I think Taika Waititi has just hit a major home run, especially since he's done mostly indie films like What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for the Wilder People. Yeah. So going from those to this huge of a blockbuster was just amazing.
And I mean, I think it did really well at the box office too, if I remember.
$313 million.
Yeah. So yeah,
it was number 8 for last year.
So I mean, it did really well. It was just a couple choices that I wasn't a big fan of, but again, they're talking about things that have changed. I mean, suddenly we got Thor with one eye. Mm-hmm. That's kind of brand new. No Mjolnir.
Right.
That's kind of crazy. And now he really is the god of thunder, where he's just shooting lightning out of his, butt or whatever. And, so now it's almost like a reimagining of this character altogether. So,
right. I mean, when he goes full on Super Saiyan, it was a pretty badass moment. And
yeah, it was.
2 really great uses of the Immigrant Song. Normally they don't do that kind. It's like, hey, we can't play the same song twice. But in this one, it's like, no, we're gonna do that, and people are gonna fucking love it, and they absolutely fucking loved it.
Yeah, they did. So yeah, I mean, there's that's pretty much where we are right now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and coming up here just shortly, we're gonna have Black Panther.
Yep. And
then we're gonna have Infinity War. So what is your take on Black Panther? What do you think about this?
I'm really excited for Black Panther. I really want to know how they're going to explain how Wakanda was able to stay hidden for so long.
It looked like a invisibility kind of thing, pretty much what Wonder Woman had going on for her.
Yeah. It did seem very similar to the type of technology that S.H.I.E.L.D. had used and that Tony used later, like in Spider-Man Homecoming, to hide the jets to a degree, but far, far, far more advanced. They already had the flying cars and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see if they explain that at all. I'm really interested.
Howard Stark is going to have played a part in that because,
right.
I mean, Howard essentially created Cap's shield, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was
with vibranium.
So there's that connection there. I think that's probably what he's going to have at least some hand in that. I would think.
Yeah. So it's another instance where the bad guy is just a foil of the good guy.
Yes. Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out. It looks like they are already utilizing the bleeding edge armor technology that we actually didn't get to see Iron Man use until a very short clip in the Infinity War trailer. Right. I'm interested to see how Martin Freeman and Andy Serkis play into it because they're both really great actors. The entire cast. You have Angela Bassett. Let me actually pull up a list here of the cast. So you have Chadwick Boseman, who was great as T'Challa in Civil War. Michael B. Jordan, who's playing Killmonger. Was he in Fantastic Four?
I don't know. You talking about Fan Forstick?
Fan Forstick, yeah.
Yeah, I did not see that.
Yeah.
On principle.
Yeah, he was. He played Johnny Storm.
Johnny? Okay.
Yep. So then you have Lupita Nyong'o. I really hope I'm not mispronouncing that. Who played Maz Kanata in yes, that one. Then you have Denai Guerrera, who played Michonne in The Walking Dead. You have Martin Freeman as Everett Ross. That will be interesting to see how they bring Ross into that.
Well, apparently, I mean, Ross is he was a character for Black Panther specifically in the books, which is why they brought him into Civil War to go into Black Panther because he is actually a character for that book.
Right, and he was an ally of Black Panther, but in this, I'm not really sure. Then you have Daniel Kaluuya, who was in Get Out and an episode of Black Mirror called, I think, 24 Million Credits. Winston Duke, Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, and Andy Serkis as Ulysses Claw, who, is a South African. He's an arms dealer, smuggler, gangster who allies himself with Killmonger.
Who got his arm blown off by Ultron.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting to see where they take this one and how they're gonna tie it in to the Infinity War storyline. Because at this point, the Winter Soldier is on ice in Wakanda, and Captain America is in exile in Wakanda.
Right.
I'm not sure if they're gonna play a role, or if they're just gonna kind of maybe be in the background, or if they're not even gonna be mentioned at all.
I'm sure they'll be mentioned. I'm sure they'll at least remind all of the viewers for the cinematic universe that Bucky's still there, and Cap was probably there at one point, but has probably left to go do other things or whatever.
Mhm.
Because I don't think he's going to make his return until the next Avengers movie. But here's actually my issue, and I might get a lot of heat for this, but here's actually my issue for the Black Panther movie. I'm not super excited about it based on the trailers, and it's it's not because I dislike the character or anything. Number one, I don't know much about the character, and that's kind of where I'm going, because I'm hoping that this movie is going to show me why my preconception is wrong.
Mhm.
But the way Marvel works, except for like Vision as the thing that disproves the rule or whatever, but the exception, thank you, is that most of this stuff is at least somewhat based in science or based in physics, kind of. You know what I mean? Like they don't go completely off the deep end. Everyone's flying and shooting lasers out of their eyes, and it's not Goku running around doing all his thing, but most of it is like at least in the realm of physics. So when someone's shooting at Captain America and he's behind his shield, it at least moves a little bit, like he takes some impact. There's still some forces happening there, but when the Black Panther shows up in his vibranium suit, and I get that, but like he walks into a room with 30 guys with machine guns, like that's not an issue for him. That's not a problem for him. It does None of those bullets hitting him affect him in the slightest. And
Right. Like
that kind of bothers.
I'm wondering how the vibranium is flexible enough to where
Yeah.
he doesn't get shot in the joints.
And
But
that's
at the
what's
same
kind of bothering me.
time, at the same time, we have Doctor Strange. You had Ant-Man that
Mhm.
dealt with it took physics and basically just said, "Screw you.
Right, yeah.
I'm not going to do it. You tell me."
But at least
Um,
he had limits, though. You know what I mean? Like there were limits. You can't go too small. You can't go too big.
there
Doctor
were
Strange
certain
fucked up
limitations.
hands, so he can't really do everything right out of the gate, and that's my problem. It doesn't feel like there's a ramp up to where he is now.
Right.
It feels like he just starts at max power, and that kind of
Yeah,
hurts.
and I hope they kind of go into that because it was implied in Civil War that his dad was the previous Black Panther
Yes.
and that he takes on that mantle. It's like the Black Panther is the leader of Wakanda.
Mhm.
So I know there were a couple of scenes where I think it's going to show him communing with the Wakandan Panther god.
Mhm.
Um, I'll be interested to see how they play out with that. What I would really like to see, and this is getting very far in the future and will probably never happen since the whole Fox Disney merger.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? I'm not sure who owns Fantastic Four at this point.
I think it's
It's
still Paramount or something.
Paramount, Sony, one of them. So Disney just needs to buy them all so that I can have the scene where Doctor Doom is speaking with the Wakandan Panther god and says, "Read my mind, and you know I'm right." And the Wakandan Panther god looks across all timelines and realities and sees that Doctor Doom is the only one that can save humanity. That's what I need in my life to die happy.
Oh God. See, no, because what's going to end up happening is then Disney's going to own yet another thing, and then everything, and then we're all going to start growing Mickey ears. I don't need that in my life. No one needs that in my life. So to get slightly off topic here a little bit, in case you guys don't know, Disney has now bought Fox proper. So what that essentially will mean, if we're still talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is that especially now that the X-Men movies suck and Hugh Jackman is no longer playing the Wolverine, we're probably going to start folding the X-Men somehow into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because they're never going to let this die. This is going to go on forever.
Right.
And
Now, let me stop you there because technically they haven't bought them yet. It still has to go through a bunch of antitrust stuff.
Hmm.
The Department of Justice sued not long ago to block the merger between AT&T and Time Warner.
Yes.
And as of an hour ago of this recording, Comcast is in talks to top Disney's bid. So that it is very far from a done deal. But in either case, it's very scary because that's whenever we're getting very close to monopolistic territory.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And while that is a good idea in my nerd brain, in my human normal adult brain, this is a horrible idea because again, they're going to own everything. We made an episode about this. Disney's going to own everything, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be fuck net neutrality. We're talking about entertainment neutrality. And it's all going to be horrible. But at the same time,
remember.
I would love to have my X-Men home too.
I don't remember if, as of our last episode in the previous series, Disney had bought Lucasfilms yet.
I believe they did. Yeah,
I think they did, but I don't really know what all had been released at that point.
We actually did our Rancor Wrangler 3 days before episode 7 came out.
Correct. So did we ever do an episode on episode 7?
No, I don't think that we did, but we're gonna get there because that's gonna be next episode. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, there's a lot to cover there too.
Yeah. But so anyway, our back on track. I mean, our last thing that we're gonna touch on here real quick is just the Infinity War trailer that we have coming out, and I don't know, man. Like I can't believe that they're putting out these two movies so close to each other, Black Panther and Infinity War, but this has been brewing for a long, long time since Iron Man 1. And holy crap, it's all coming to a head finally. We have Spider-Man Home, and in this movie, awesome. We're going to have Guardians of the Galaxy crossing over with the Avengers, crossing over with fucking everything. Everything.
Right. So the Infinity War is Avengers Infinity War is being released May 4th. So we are only
Star Wars Day, by the way.
Yes. Do you think that's a coincidence? I don't think so. I do not think so. So yeah, they're doing a very tight release schedule. So February 16th, Black Panther. May the 4th is Infinity War. And then not long after that, July 6th is Ant-Man and Wasp. And we've only got one trailer for that so far.
Yep.
So this is tossing in phases 1, 2, and 3, just slamming them together where we finally get Thanos stepping out of a portal and wrecking everyone's faces.
Rig it a wreck. So yeah, the only thing that I'm really concerned about here is while I just nerded out talking about how awesome it's going to be to pull all these properties together, that is a logistical nightmare. So can they really write a film that's coherent around 1,000 characters versus this one? Like, is that even a thing that can happen aside from Joss Whedon doing it?
Well, I actually kind of hope that Joss Whedon has nothing to do with this, considering that a lot of what he's touched recently has not turned out very well. You also got to remember he had a big hand in Age of Ultron,
which I liked.
Okay. Here's my thing when it comes to Infinity War is there has been a little bit of teasing by Joe Russo that the current cut of the movie is 2.5 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be enough time to get all these characters from over a dozen movies to actually be able to do something cohesive?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, it's a little frightening, but at this point, I mean, I can really have nothing but trust in Marvel. They've been able to do really amazing things for the. Well, I mean, I know it's been over a dozen movies, but we're also talking about Avengers 1 and 2, so we're not too much more there. Captain America 1, 2, and 3, Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, Thor 1, 2, and 3. So, I mean, it feels like a lot of movies for that many characters, but it really isn't. I'm just, I guess I just got to put my trust in them. That's all I really have, I think, because they're spinning gold, man. Like, can they not make a good movie? That's the real question, I think, at this point.
I don't know. I mean, and actually, 17 movies, man. But you're right. They have been spinning gold, and they made Guardians of the Galaxy a huge success.
Characters that nobody knew.
Right. Nobody. And this wasn't even the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
No.
This was like the Guardians of the Galaxy B team. They made Ant-Man a huge success. They were able to take some of the weirdest characters and make us love them, whether we wanted to or not, and they did it.
I'll still say to this day that the first Guardians of the Galaxy was still the best Marvel movie they've made so far.
I will definitely disagree and still go with Captain America: Winter Soldier.
I think that's a close second, but I don't know. I mean, it's the amount of fun, the amount of excitement about that movie coming out. I mean, and it's one of those things where, you know, what do you really dig? Do you really dig like the serious kind of spy espionage kind of thing, or do you dig like the fun kind of goofy adventure time? And which I love both. I just felt like that one was just a little bit better, but not by much, because Captain America 2 Winter Soldier was friggin' amazing too. So I don't know. Again, they're spinning gold. So, you know, can they really fuck it up at this point? And I'm starting to think no. I'm starting to think that they probably got this in the bag.
Well, unless they go full DC.
You never go full DC.
Never go full DC. No. It'll be interesting to see.
Yes, it will. So that's our time. We are happy that you've come back. We're happy to be back. And you know, catch us on the YouTubes, on the SoundClouds and the Spreakers and on the Facebook, everywhere, man. So, dude, it's good to be back.
Yeah, it's so good to be back. Be sure to check out our Facebook. It's facebook.com/SquarePegShow, and give us your money at patreon.com/SquarePegShow.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Peace out.